Today I want to talk about a group that criticizes and even sometimes hates Catholics the most. This group is other Catholics. If you're new to this channel, please subscribe. It's a fun channel. We do a lot of stuff here. And we aren't like the type of people who I'm going to talk about, because if you got confused by what I said that Catholics are the #1 hater of other Catholics, it's really true. So I have been on a bunch of different, Catholic Facebook pages, and there are some people who aren't acting Catholic at all. Let me explain what I mean by this. There's a lot of people who will go on the internet with their idea of what Catholicism is, and if you disagree with that, you're not a real Catholic. For example, Netflix is coming out with like some show about like drag queens and their superheroes, yada yada yada, and people are like, if you're not removing your Netflix, you're not a real Christian. It's things like that where it's like gatekeeping Christianity. Like if you guys don't know what gatekeeping is, it's this thing where you say, if you don't do this, or if you do this, then you aren't a real X. So for example, it could be, if you enjoy Star Wars Episode 1, you're not a real Star Wars fan. Or like, oh, if you didn't hate the fact that the new Doctor Who is a girl, you're not a real Whovian. It's stuff like that where it's like, or sometimes it gets even worse where it's like, oh, if you're a real fan, you would know George Lucas's daughter's birth date, but you're not a real fan of Star Wars, so you don't know that, so fake fan. And I think we're seeing this idea of gatekeeping a lot in Christianity lately, especially Catholicism. There are a lot of people who are getting intolerant of other Catholics. I think that's the best way to say it. And by intolerance, I mean just flat out like going crazy off the rails. I think one of the groups that gets the most hate for this is the traditional Catholics. Like traditional Catholics are absolutely bashed on for just being super like, oh, you don't care about like the truth, you just have your old archaic religion. And I've met a lot of traditional Catholics who are a bit crazy. Like there are the Catholics who say, oh, everything after Vatican II is evil, we should go back to the pre-Vatican II, Novus Ordo is evil, Pope Benedict and Francis and JP2. I've actually had people say that they were like literally the worst people ever, and when you tell me that JP2 is bad, I can't agree with you anymore. I'm sorry. I actually had someone tell my sister that because she was getting her confirmation at a church that celebrated the Novus Ordo Mass, that was invalid, and it was a complete mockery and parody of the sacrament, and that she would be going to hell for that. I literally had someone tell my sister she was going to hell because she received confirmation at a parish that celebrated the new Mass that is allowed by the church and not bad. Like, yeah, there can be issues, but I'm not going into the Novus Ordo thing. We're talking about bad people here. And I'm not saying they're bad in general, like Christ said, judge not lest you be judged. And that, of course, actually, you know what? I think that's the whole issue. People are taking this idea of, oh, you can't judge me, and then just judging people or going off the deep end. What Jesus said when he meant don't judge, right? It's this Bible verse right here. You can't tell someone you're going to hell because of this, or you're going to heaven. Like, you can't judge someone's eternal soul. Can you judge their actions? Yes, I judge people's actions probably a bit too much. Some people are just stupid. I mean, come on, you can't blame the guy. People are dumb. I worked in a museum for history for years. I had people coming up to ships that were supposed to be replicating ships that were from like the 1600s, be like, Dad, where's the motor? Like, I've met a lot of dumb people, and yeah, I've judged them a little bit because of their actions, but I'm not going to judge a person and say, you're dumb, you're going to hell. Like, that's not happening. No, I'm not saying the traditionals are the only people who will do this. I've had people on the complete other end flip out. Okay, so for example, we put out the first section of the sin response document, right? And some woman read it, and she started ranting about it on Twitter, and she was basically like, these people are like bad, like they're doing all this stuff that's just so mean, and it's like, oh my gosh, we're just doing something. Like, if you don't disagree with this, fine. Like, I have all these people on the internet that I don't disagree with, but that doesn't mean I'm gonna like yell at them on social media. If somebody disagrees with you, fine, whatever, like let them live their life. Now, you should evangelize to them, and you can't just say relativism because that's bad. But at the same time, like, you can't tell someone because you don't live in my way, we're not going to, like, you're not a real Christian. You can't tell someone because you still have Netflix, even though they have a bad show, that you aren't a real Catholic. You're not a good Catholic or a good Christian. You can't tell someone, oh, because you only celebrate Mass in one way, you're doing that. I've had people who are like, oh yeah, if you're a traditional, you're just immediately uptight. Like, that judgmental nature, holy cow, stop. Like, I've legit had people come up to me and say, you know what, you shouldn't be doing what you're doing because you're not a priest. Like, I've had people literally tell me doing YouTube because I'm not a priest is like leading people to sin. Like, Catholicism is kind of split in between like these two extremes of like the traditionals who are all, yo, let's go back to the old school stuff, and like the people who are like, nah, today is fine, let's accept other religions. And like we gotta find that happy medium, like Aristotle talked about in, I believe, Nicomachean Ethics. He talks about like you need to find a happy medium. Like some people, they have, well, in there it's about alcohol, but the church is mostly about alcohol, right? Jesus and wine. But you have to find a happy medium in between two extremes. Like on one hand, you have what is good and what is bad about the traditional mindset, like the crazy traditional. And on the other end, you have what's good and bad about the crazy traditional charismatic side. Let's take both of those, all the good, try to remove all the bad, put them together, and you have a good part of the church. Like, can we stop hating each other? We're all Christian, we're all Catholic. Let's get together and stop hitting each other down, stop making fun of each other. Let's actually just start like living normally and living kindly. Like, what is the big deal about yelling at each other about the smallest issues? Now, if there are issues that are huge that we can both agree with, let's focus on those things. Let's stop focusing on the things that we can disagree with. And yeah, we should all be pursuing truth. And yeah, there will be disagreement in the pursuit of truth. But that's not to say that that's all that we should focus on or gatekeep and tell people because you don't believe this, you're going straight down. Basically what I have to say is, can we stop being angry at each other because we're charismatic or we're too traditional or you don't like the same, you know, oh my gosh, this was a fun one. I had someone tell me that because I was not a huge fan of Augustine, that like my soul was in danger. And I'm like, what? Like how do you say that to someone and not just like be like, just a prank, bro, just a prank right after? Like, holy cow, like, judge much? So basically what I'm trying to say is, let's stop getting all annoyed with each other. Let's just all find the area. I'm talking about getting annoyed while I'm getting like really heated. Let's find that medium where we can all get together. Let's fight for what we believe in. There's so many good things that if we all join together, we can like destroy. Like the best example, March for Life. People are charismatic there. People are crazy traditionalists there. Like, and I'm not saying all traditionalists are crazy. I have a lot of really good traditional friends, and I agree with some of the traditional mindset. But let's find, like, when both of those groups come together, it's called the Catholic Church. And when the Catholic Church starts doing stuff, jank gets done. And like, that's what matters, is we as a church, if we're going to be the ones who like actually rise up and do great things, then we need to stop beating each other down and start just living and drawing people to the faith. Because once people say, wow, the Catholics, they say they're universal, but they can't even agree on things, and some of them hate each other, yeah, I'm not going to that church. Like, that's just not attractive. Let's start focusing on things that we agree with, go from there. And once we understand what we all agree with, and we, you know, agree to disagree in some areas, and I mean, agreeing to disagreeing isn't the best thing in the world, but sometimes you have to. And once you do that, then we can all get along for the sake of Christian unity and true universality in Catholic Church. Now, what do you think about this? Do you think this is a good idea? Do you think there should be a good, like, two different sides to the church, the charismatic and the traditional side? Is there a different side that I'm not talking about? Let me know in the comments below. I'm sure there's a million things that I haven't talked about yet. Hit me in the comments below. Tell me what you think. And again, if you guys are new to this channel, please subscribe. I do talks like this every single week. I go a little bit crazy. I go overboard just yelling because, come on, this is so simple. Like, let's stop being, no, I already said what I want to say. Also, follow me on Instagram at RiseUpJerusalem, Twitter at RiseUpJerusalem, really any social media at RiseUpJerusalem. It's really clever, I know, but it's easy to say. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. And as it was in the beginning, is now, never shall be, rise up and live.